Stop believing the eyes and the ears. Stop it, Dana. Two of your favorite worst people in the video? Oh, yeah, I saw this.
Border Patrol.
Yeah. Dana Fash cooked Bovino a little bit. This is 20 minutes long. What the heliante? 20 fucking minutes? That's crazy.
Commander at Large, Greg Bovino. Thank you for being here. Sir, you are still in Minneapolis, and I want to...
You know what's crazy? If he was wearing Israeli gear, she would literally be nicer to him. How many interviews has CNN conducted under similar circumstances with like an Israeli military commander where they just let him fucking say whatever they want? Just something to consider, okay? Just something to think about.
Get to a lot of questions that we have that are unanswered. First and foremost is that Alex Pretti approached Border Patrol agents with a 9mm semi-automatic handgun. I want to go back to one of the videos, and I know you can see it there, and I want to ask you about what you're seeing, because multiple angles of this incident show him holding up a cell phone and recording it, not a gun. Did he at any point pull out his weapon?
Dana, good morning, and thanks for having me. The weapon, and we do know that the suspect did bring a weapon, a loaded 9mm high-capacity handgun, to a riot. We do know that. As far as what happened in that intervening moment with the video that you just showed, that's going to come to light through the investigation. That's being investigated, and those facts and those questions will be answered soon enough.
Okay, but the Homeland Security Secretary is not waiting for that investigation to take place before saying that Alex Pretti was, quote, brandishing a weapon. Let's go to video 7, because, of course, you know this far better than I. The definition of brandishing is waving or flourishing something, especially a weapon, as a threat or in anger and excitement. That's just a still photo of what Alex Pretti appears to be holding. There is nothing that we have seen that showed him as,
remember, this is brandishing.
Secretary Noem said, brandishing a weapon. Have you, sir, seen something
that cooked my ears too
different to support what the Secretary said?
Dan, I think what we need to take a look at here is...
Dude, the Greg Bovino's voice is always so crazy to hear. Every time I hear his little baby voice, like his little nerd voice, I'm reminded all over again that he has this like teeny tiny man voice, like actually.
Is the situation in its totality. What happened leading up to this situation? The suspect decided to inject himself into a law enforcement action. What's not being said here is the fact that Border Patrol agents and law enforcement were conducting a targeted law enforcement effort against a violent, illegal alien that was nearby, and that suspect injected himself into that law enforcement situation with a weapon. And what happened between when that situation first came about and the shooting, that's going to be investigated, and we're going to get to the facts of that.
Well, you said yesterday that this looks like a situation where the individual wanted to do maximum damage and massacre law enforcement.
Yeah.
What evidence do you have that he wanted to massacre law enforcement? Because all the videos that we have, and I do want to, we just have a still shot up now, but I do, control room, want to play one of the other videos. Let's play video number 1 again. It doesn't look anything like he's trying to massacre law enforcement. In fact, he was filming, and then it looked like he was trying to help another individual there who was pushed down by law enforcement, and then they went after him.
In fact, I believe that the fantastic training that our law enforcement partners have, the fact that they're highly trained, prevented any specific shootings of law enforcement. So good job for our law enforcement in taking him down before he was able to do that. And again, Dana, let's look at why he was there.
Dude, they are. I don't think this is going to work, man. I don't know. I don't think this is going to work. Because, like, Americans can justify this kind of action against, like, if it goes along racial boundaries, like if it's like an unarmed black teenager, there are still going to be like a much larger percentage of Americans that automatically go, nope, they deserved it. If it's an undocumented migrant, they'll say, nope, they deserve it. But we're talking about like a VA nurse, and a guy who was a legal gun owner. Like, that's crazy. I mean, the point that I was making yesterday is like a government that justifies killing a white dude that is a fucking VA nurse, that is a lawful gun owner. Like, that person, that government is going to justify, government's going to justify killing everybody, you know? Because that's it. Who else? Like, this is the type of person that every single Republican American fancies themselves as being, right? It's over at that point. They'll justify killing every single person. This is what I said. If you think this admin won't kill anyone without a problem, you're delusional. Wake the fuck up.
Terrence Lee Randolph, March 30th, 1947, December 10th, 2024. Today we remember that freedom is not free. We have to work at it, nurture it, protect it, and even sacrifice for it. May we never forget and always remember our brothers and sisters who have served so that we may enjoy the gift of freedom. So in this moment, we remember and give thanks for their dedication and selfless service to our nation in the cause of our freedom. In this solemn hour, we render them our honor and our gratitude.
Yeah, they called this guy a fucking terrorist, dude. This guy is literally the most patriotic American, man. And I don't mean like the fake patriotism represented by the sloppiness on the right, okay? I'm talking like a real-ass patriot, brother. What the fuck? A part of the community, wants to defend his fucking neighbors. Like, guy with a job. Like a real job, not this like fake ICE jobs. Like a real ass job.
In the first place, was he simply walking by and just happened to walk into a law enforcement situation and try to direct traffic and stand in the middle of the road and then assault, delay, and obstruct law enforcement? Or was he there for a reason? Did he fall victim to that violent and heated rhetoric by a Mayor Fry, a Governor Waltz? Look, Dana, they're trying to portray Border Patrol agents and ICE agents as Gestapo, Nazi, and many other words. Did this individual...
Dog, we're not doing that. You're directing them to make us feel like that. Because they are, bitch. You also love wearing the fucking Nazi gear. Like, you don't even act like you don't do it on purpose. Fucking manlet. Little tiny manlet Nazi.
Individual fall victim, as many others have.
Teeny tiny guy.
He's a
little guy.
I want to stay focused on this incident right now, because what you were saying is that he went there to try to stop.
Also, bro hit the Gestapo too. Like he hit that shush.
This law enforcement operation.
He did the correct pronunciation.
Shows him documenting it with his cell phone, which is a lawful thing to do. And the only time he sees...
Dana, I'll have you know we are not the Gestapo. I mean, why are you calling me a Gestapo? Is that how you say it, Dana? I'm sorry. Nein! Ich kann nicht glauben! Wir are not the Gestapo! We are far better! Where are your papers, Dana? I'm sorry, I meant, I love America. I don't know where that came from. I just let me go back to my Ted Cruz impersonation. That's crazy. We're cool, right? Forget about that other thing that I was that just came out of me.
To interact with law enforcement is when they went after him when he was trying to help an individual who law enforcement pushed down. So where do you have the evidence to show that he was trying to impede that law enforcement operation?
Sure, Dana, first he was there in the scene. He was in the scene actively impeding and assaulting law enforcement to the point.
But that's not illegal. He wasn't
Dana,
impeding it.
It's literally court protected action, okay? Not only is it totally legal, but the court also reinforced the legality of it recently. Where are you going? No, don't even think about it. Okay, come here right now. Enough of this madness. Enough of this madness.
He was filming it, which is a legal thing to do in the United States of America.
Dana, let's don't freeze frame adjudicate this now. He was there for a reason, and that reason was to impede law enfortement to the point.
What evidence do you have of that?
And here's a good point, Dana, is the fact that de-escalation techniques were utilized during this action. Those de-escalation techniques, whether it was physically trying to remove them from that law enforcement scene, that active law enforcement scene in which law enforcement were going after a violent illegal alien, or the use of pepper spray, which is another de-escalation technique. Those techniques did not work. Officers always try to use the minimum amount of force necessary to either effect an arrest, which in this case was more than likely 18 U.S.C. 111, assault on a federal officer, or
Where
impede,
did he
delay, and
assault?
obstruct.
Where did he assault a federal officer in any of the video that you have seen? Because it looked to us from every angle, sir, that he was approached by them when he was helping another individual who was pushed down. What evidence do you have that he was assaulting any law enforcement?
Dana, we don't need a suspect's help in an active law enforcement scene.
When you say
we don't
suspect,
need his help.
what is
We
he
didn't ask
suspected
his
of?
help. That's an active law enforcement scene. He knew that was an active law enforcement scene, especially when the officers approached him, and it's very evident he did not need to be where he was, and he decided on his own to stay there.
So when somebody is pushed down and a person's instinct is to help that person, when somebody's pushed down by law enforcement, you're saying that you just stand back and let law enforcement do what they're doing? Right. I mean, is that really human nature?
You know, Dana, every situation is different. What our officers are faced with here in Minneapolis are chaotic, very difficult and violent situations in which individuals, and this suspect is not the only one to bring a loaded weapon to a riot. The situations are chaotic and ever-changing. Follow directions for law enforcement. Don't inject yourself knowingly beforehand.
I appreciate this coverage, but I do think it's allowed because it's too much. That's why. It's too much. They're not going to, dude, CNN has the capacity to have like Scott Jennings on and normalize some of the stuff that Trump is doing, but like there is definitely a level, okay? And they went beyond the level of what is permissible, and they just keep pushing it. So obviously, what is this? Kaya Gate 2.0, you're going to get canceled for beating Kaya? First of all, good luck. I've already been canceled for that. And secondly, give her treats. She's delicate and wasting away. She is not wasting away, okay? I just picked her ass up. And she is objectively fatter than ever before, okay? Kaya unleashes frame perfect 20-hit combo and it's on live. Yeah. But yeah, the question was like, why is CNN actually doing contentious adversarial journalism here? Why are they doing pushback? And the reason for why is because this is like, it's gone above and beyond. That's why.
Into a law enforcement situation.
With respect, it feels as though in some ways you're blaming the victim here.
The victims are the Border Patrol agents. I'm not blaming the Border Patrol agents. The victim are the Border Patrol agents. The suspect put himself in that situation, the victims are the Border Patrol agents there.
I want to go back
What's
to the
up?
gun, sir, because I think this is really, really critical.
I know you're
You
doing over there?
can see an agent, and I just
Rallying
want
her
to
out.
go
Here, open the door.
to-
Let her out.
Let's see here, video 5.
let her out, let her
you
out.
can see a screenshot of an agent in
Come
a
on, come
green
on.
jacket approach Pretti, and then he appeared to take a gun away. When the agent took the gun away, which it seems as though it was Pretti's gun, that happened before Pretti was shot. Why was an unarmed man shot multiple times by law enforcement, by your Border Patrol agents?
Dana, you don't know he was unarmed. I don't know he was unarmed. That's freeze frame adjudication of a crime.
Wow, this is great. This is a great response, sir. Freeze frame adjudication, Dana. Why are you doing freeze frame adjudication, Dana? Over and over again. No, it's good. This is good, man. Keep it up. Keep it up. You're really doing a good job defending this situation. How else are we supposed to fucking analyze the incident, man? What the fuck are you talking about? Also, letting the video run its course doesn't exactly favor your side of the argument either. It just shows a bunch of fucking assholes. A bunch of violent thugs brutalizing anyone they can get their fucking hands on.
Crime scene.
Yeah, he basically keeps saying, like, ignore your eyes. Ignore what you see in front of you. Stop believing the eyes and the ears. Stop it, Dana.
Via a photo. That's why we have investigators. That's why we have an investigation that is going to answer those questions.
Oh, yeah. We will investigate ourselves and find no wrongdoing.
How many shots were fired? Who fired shots? Where was the guns? Where were the...
All he has to do is say Pretti was wearing a keffiyeh, should be fully on board. Bro, I'm not kidding when I say this. Like, I've seen CNN do less contentious interviews with Israel, like with Israeli fucking guys that are doing, if not more violence than, but the same kind of violence that Bovino is doing, with Dana being much, much more pliant.
the guns located? All those questions are going
Sir,
to be answered.
I think you can see the screen.
In the investigation.
We're
not going to adjudicate that here on TV in one freeze frame there.
Okay, it's not a freeze frame. We're showing a video of one of your agents taking the gun away, and that happened before Pretti was shot.
We don't know that agent was taking any gun away. That could have been the agents, because we don't know that. The facts are going to come to light.
So you're disputing the video, that that's what happened?
With an investigation. That's why we investigate.
Well, with respect, you say that's why we investigate, but you're also drawing other conclusions that sort of fly in the face of waiting for an investigation. I just want to also go back to what I was asking about with regard to what Secretary Noem said, that he was brandishing a gun. At any point, do you have any evidence that, yes, he had a gun on his person? Was he brandishing it? Was he a threat because he had a gun in his hand that put law enforcement in danger?
Dana, we heard the law enforcement officer say gun, gun, gun. So at some point, they knew there was a gun. So again, that is going to be part of that investigation as to what was happening on the ground there between those victims, the Border Patrol agent victims, and the suspect.
Both the police chief in Minneapolis, O'Hara, and Governor Walz say Pretti was legally licensed to carry a concealed weapon. So are you saying it's not okay for him to exercise his Second Amendment right, not to mention his First Amendment right to be there in the first place, but his Second Amendment right to carry a gun? And if you do, you can be shot by federal law enforcement?
No, I didn't say that, Dana. I never said that. What I'm saying is we respect that Second Amendment right, but those rights don't count when you riot and assault, delay, obstruct, and impede law enforcement officers, and most especially when you mean to do that beforehand.
How do you know that?
When you mean to do that beforehand, when you show up to an active crime scene, don't leave the crime scene, and you're armed, then you've got the decision-making process for that individual doesn't seem to be very good. Now, back to the Second Amendment. What you're saying about the Second Amendment is peacefully protesting with firearms. Absolutely, I've done that myself, and fully support that. But not when you perpetrate violence, obstruct, delay, or obfuscate Border Patrol in the performance of their duties in an
There is
active
no
crime
evidence that
scene.
he was perpetrating violence. And there's no evidence, unless you have it, and we'd love to see it if there is, that he was intending to massacre.
I'm telling you, man, it's just they can kill anybody they want. And it's very clear that they're not going to back down. So if all you got in counter to this kind of shit is to just say, please stop, please stop, please stop over and over again, then they're just going to keep doing it.
Enforcement, other than the fact that he was there
We
and
need
he had
punishments.
a gun lawfully.
We need punishments. We need punishments.
He meant to be there beforehand. Again, Dana, he came there beforehand.
How do you
for
know that?
a reason.
How do you know that?
Because he was there.
But all he
Because
was doing
there.
was filming
It's
and
very
documenting
evident.
it, which is legal. He was carrying a gun, which in Minneapolis
I didn't
is
say
legal.
it wasn't. And I didn't say it wasn't legal.
So then
But
what did he do that
cannot
was illegal?
Assault federal law enforcement when he does that. That's an active law enforcement crime
Where do you
scene
see in the video that he was
decided to enter into.
Where do you see in the video that he was assaulting law enforcement? Because from everything we have seen, law enforcement was assaulting him when he was there trying to help another individual.
Dana, law enforcement doesn't assault anyone. Follow directions of law enforcement. Follow directions of law enforcement in an active crime scene. It's very evident he didn't want to do that. Very evident that the other individuals didn't want to do that. And, it's too bad the consequences had to be paid because he injected himself into that crime scene. I can't say that enough. He made the decision to go there. We didn't make the decision to talk to him. We didn't even know that individual was in existence until he came into that crime scene.
I want to go back to video number 1 because you keep saying that he injected himself into the crime scene. He was a guy on a street filming an operation. He was far away. He wasn't on the crime scene. And what I want you to see again is that law enforcement appears by the video we have to be approaching him and the person who is next to him, not the other way around. And so what I want to know is what evidence do you have that he went after?
Bro, every now and then I see these motherfuckers actually do like real contentious reporting. And for a brief moment, I'm like, hell yeah, that's awesome. But then I'm reminded, like, so you have this tool in your tool belt. You just choose not to fucking use it, you know? Like, it's not like this shouldn't be a unique incident. I want to take the W, and I will take the W. It's great. I'm glad that Dana Fash is doing the right thing in this situation. They see the tide shifting, and that's great. But, like, why don't you bust this open more frequently? They only have this level of smoke for, like, Bernie. You know what I mean? They only have this level of contentious reporting prowess when it's someone who's like, we should just not give unlimited funds to Israel and instead, I don't know, fund healthcare or something. And they're like, wow, how dare you say that? How will we pay for it? You're right. It's a shame that you could literally apply this level of New York Times criticism to Israel, but twice since the start of the year, federal officers have gunned down protesters in Minneapolis with cell phone cameras rolling, and twice Trump and his lieutenants have essentially told the American people, don't believe what you see with your own eyes. It is kind of wild to see the New York Times do this when Israel does it, they literally will go, don't believe your lying eyes.
After law enforcement.
Sure. The fact that he was standing in the middle of the road, there was interaction between him, the bystanders, and law enforcement, and again, follow directions of law enforcement. He doesn't need to be in the...
It is kind of strange to me that Bovino is operating like he's a free man, though. Like he's moving like there will be no punishments. We can't be letting these guys feel and act like that. Okay, I'm sorry. Like, what the fuck? I do think this is, again, a little bit on the Democrats. Like, they're not even entertaining mobilizing people around, like, what kind of punishments they'll dish out for every single one of these pieces of shit, these Nazi cocksuckers, you know? They shouldn't be so comfortable, I think.
Middle of a crime scene.
He won't be seen in the crowd, so we can't catch him. No, actually, he will be seen in the crowd. You want to know why? Because he has a specific Praetorian guard of manlets that are shorter than him. I've seen it. Like he has a Praetorian guard of like 5'3" people, so that he as a 5'4" guy looks taller in comparison. Straight up. That's real. Look it up.
Dan, I don't think you would want to be in the middle of a crime scene, or you would want civilians in the middle of a crime scene injecting themselves.
Yeah, bro, it becomes a crime scene when ICE is there. That's kind of the problem, don't you think? That's the whole problem. That's the only problem. These streets are not crime scenes before you got there, before your thugs got there. This cannot be the principled stance where, listen, wherever my agents are, it's a crime scene because they'll kill people, okay? And that's just what it is. You just have to move out of the way. You have to run around. You have to run away. You see him, you got to run away. We'll kill you.
Into something that is none of their business at all.
Can you also just answer the question about the gun? Because, again, do you have any evidence that he was brandishing his weapon? Did he ever have his hand on the weapon?
Yeah, again, the officers on the ground, in that melee, we hear gun, gun, gun. So that gun, at some point, became visible to officers.
But could it have been because they had him on the ground and maybe his shirt came up and they saw that it was on him? That doesn't mean that he was.
And that is why we have an investigation, Dana.
Fine.
That is what we are investigating. You're not going to know that now, and I'm not going to know that.
I think an
now.
investigation is great, but the Homeland Security.
Dude, I love when these guys also go, well, that's speculating. What you're doing is speculating, which is quite different than my speculation, which is right. You should speculate in the direction that I'm speculating in, as opposed to speculating off of what you can see with your eyes and hear with your ears. Okay? That's literally it. He's mad because the video very clearly shows one reality, and he doesn't want that reality to be the reality. So he's like, don't speculate now. We'll conduct an investigation. It's like, bitch, you're the one who's speculating. And if both parties are speculating in either direction, I think Dana Fash is speculating in the correct direction.
Secretary said he was brandishing a weapon. Do you have evidence that we haven't seen?
Hasan, this tweet is coming back.
He brought a semi-automatic weapon to a riot, assaulted federal officers, and at some point,
bro, dude, they're doing all the shit that fucking gun guys hate, by the way. Okay? Not only is this like fundamentally an anti-2A position, obviously, like, oh, you have a gun, that means you can always be killed. But he's also trying to do the this is something that liberals do, man. Liberals would be calling a fucking handgun it is a semi-automatic weapon, yes. But you're making it seem like it's a much less common piece of gear than it actually is, okay? Like, it's a 9mm handgun, and you're like, oh, it's a semi-automatic weapon of mass destruction that he brought to this field of battle with one goal in mind. It's an ICE-issued firearm. He's making it seem like this was a tactical nuke. Isn't this exactly what gun guys hate, by the way? Like, gun guys hate when you call an AR-15 like a long gun, like a long barrel rifle, right? They're like, wow, what do you mean? It's just fucking, you're just trying to make it scarier than it actually is. It's like, that's exactly what he's doing. It can still kill an ICE officer, though. So can a heart disease. True.
they saw that weapon. So I do believe the secretary.
Like, what's the argument? It can kill an ICE officer? Yeah, that's what guns do. Okay. So what is the point then? Then there should be no Second Amendment. Is that your argument? Are you anti-2A now? Are you Mr. Anti-Gun now? What's going on? Are the Republicans licking so many fucking boots that they've decided actually the one thing that they would stand on normally, it turns out they're not on board with at all. Like, even the fucking NRA is against them. The sentiment from the first assistant U.S. attorney for Central District of California is dangerous or wrong. Responsible public voices should be awaiting a full investigation, not making generalizations and demonizing law-abiding citizens. If you approach law enforcement with a gun, there's a high likelihood they will be legally justified in shooting you. Don't do it. Everyone knows the NRA is Antifa. I mean, the reality is, like, they are trying to find like a Asmongold style middle ground here, where they like obviously have to be the pro 2A institution, but they obviously can't fucking aggressively criticize the government too much, right? They have to say yeah base, but there's only so much yeah base thing you can say in this circumstance. They're going to start calling it an assault pistol. Yeah, it's specifically an anti-ICE assault pistol.
Is 100% spot on in what she said.
Seeing
Why
a
would
weapon.
you bring a weapon and assault a federal officer if you did not have intent to harm or delay or obstruct that federal officer with a weapon?
You keep saying that he assaulted a federal officer, but again, we have not seen evidence that that happened. It looked like he was on the defense, and again, he had a gun legally. It sort of feels like we're in the upside down, where we have law enforcement and conservatives who are very pro Second Amendment saying the problem was that he had a gun legally.
No, the problem is, as I said several times now, is he injected himself. He put himself where he did not need to be. He put himself in and put law enforcement officers in jeopardy through his actions. These were his actions, not law enforcement officers' action. We had to react to an individual that came there for a specific reason. And again, what that reason is, we're going to find more out about that in the coming days. I'll be interested to see what his reason for being there, while Border Patrol agents were arresting a violent, criminal, illegal alien doing their lawful, ethical, and moral duties in Minneapolis.
Yeah, they also, this is another one of the major lies that I despise, that I routinely talk about, routinely address, but like ICE has no operational capacity to fucking apprehend, like, you know, criminals in the process of doing crimes and shit like that. That's not their job. That's not their jurisdiction. Their job is to apprehend people who are in violation of civil offenses. Okay. The real criminals that they apprehend, they get from the prisons. So whenever you hear the worst of the worst, when Trump is talking about the worst of the worst, those are people who are in prison. As in, those are people who are undocumented or documented migrants who have done a heinous crime. And lo and behold, and it might be really shocking for a lot of people, the American law enforcement have arrested them. American prosecutors have investigated and set up a case against them. The American courts have found them guilty of these crimes, and now they're actually serving the time for the crime that they've committed. That is who those people are, the worst of the worst, that Trump always loves talking about. Those are the people that ICE goes after to pad the stats to make it seem like they're actually apprehending these like criminal migrants that are an ever-present danger. And the reason why I say it's padding the stats is because those people are not criminals that have done a crime this year or last year or the year prior. They're apprehending people from the prisons. They're taking people out of the prison system that have been in prison for like 10 years at this point. You know what I mean? Just to say, look at how many people are doing crimes.
That's the question.
Well, but the question is also, why is an American citizen now dead for the second time who was there to document, in this case, and clearly to be there as a bystander, which is his First Amendment right.
He wasn't there to clearly document anything. Don't socially engineer the topic, Dana. He was not there to document.
Appeared
he came
to be.
there for
That's
a reason.
fair. Appeared
and
to be.
He obfuscated and delayed officers there on the scene. That's pretty evident to me.
I want to ask you about your agents. You said that this was a highly trained agent who had been serving on Border Patrol for 8 years. What was he trained for? Because these are your Border Patrol agents, and they're now in the interior of the country, in American cities. Was he trained in urban policing?
Yes, all of our Border Patrol agents are trained in all for all types of environments, including urban policing. This particular Border Patrol agent had 8 years with some specific skill sets there with both firearms and less lethal munitions. Also, let's take a look at the training and the environments that Border Patrol agents operate in. We operate in places like San Diego, California, Tucson, Arizona, New Orleans. All those have Border Patrol sectors. Detroit, Michigan. We've got Border Patrol sectors in Buffalo. So this myth, and I saw this just last night on CNN, this myth that Border Patrol agents don't work in urban areas is just that. It's a myth. We're well adept at urban areas, conducting that Title VIII immigration enforcement wherever we go. It doesn't matter if it's a desert or an urban environment. We're very well adept at doing that.
Is the agent or agents, is it your understanding that more than one agent fired a weapon at Alex Pretti?
Again, that's going to be part of the investigation. I'm not going to speculate on how many shots or who shot or that type of thing because I don't know.
Are the agents who were involved still on the job?
Yes, these Border Patrol agents are going to more than likely be on administrative duty, but they were main Border Patrol agents. Yes.
What does that mean? So they'll be off the streets for a bit?
Not in Minneapolis, they will, but only in Minneapolis here. They'll be at a different location.
Okay. And before
they're gonna go kill people in Maine now. You know, awesome. Thank you, dude. This is literally cop shit. If you're a cop watcher, if you've been around, if you've been doing this is not your first fucking rodeo. A lot of similarities with the way that local law enforcement operates here.
I want to button up one point that you were making about what Alex Pretti was doing there. Do you accept that it is the law that an individual has a right to film what law enforcement is doing?
I believe that all citizens of the United States have those First and Fourth Amendment rights as long as they do so peacefully and don't.
No, you don't. He literally does not believe that. Like, fundamentally, the entire job of an ICE agent falls apart when you recognize that every American has a Fourth and First Amendment right, okay? That is the biggest lie he has told so far. As a matter of fact, this interview is being conducted in the aftermath of a person's Fourth and First Amendment rights being violated so ruthlessly and being killed in the process.
Delay, obstruct, or assault anyone in doing that, and that's the issue here because he was not peacefully doing anything.
All right, and just for the record, and we've seen this video multiple times from multiple angles, there is no evidence that he was doing anything other than being peaceful until the altercation began. Again, I look forward to seeing the other evidence in the investigation that you have, because we do want to get to the bottom of this and do want to get all of the facts as they actually happened. Chief Bovino, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate you being here and answering questions.
Thank you, Dana.